Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 6 starts now.
A state line coach is accused of recording a high school locker room. An investigation leads to more charges. Plus, local motorcyclists out in droves today. They drive to promote safety on the road. And one of the biggest derby parties in Illinois is here in Rockford. The festival is filled with live music, sports betting, and more. Good evening, I'm Jess Lipson. Taylor Castro is off tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. A Janesville coach is arrested, accused of putting a video camera in a school locker room. Friday, a resource officer at Craig High School was told of a recording device in one of the girls' locker rooms. Janesville police and the school then started an investigation, which led to a search warrant being issued for a home in Lexington Drive. The suspect was identified as 38-year-old Brian Kitzman. Kitzman coached various sports at the high school level. He was arrested and charged with possession of child pornography and violation of privacy of a person under the age of 18. Kitzman is being held in the Rock County Jail. 18 residents are being displaced after a duplex catches fire in Janesville. Fire crews were called to a home on Newman Street just north of Mount Zion Avenue around 8:15 last night. When they arrived, they found flames coming from a bedroom. The fire was put out quickly. One resident was injured and treated at the scene. Fire damage is estimated to be $100,000. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The American Red Cross is assisting all of those that are displaced. One person is seriously injured after a crash in Boone County. Friday night, first responders were called to an intersection of Route 76 and Squaw Prairie Road for a two-vehicle accident. Little is known at the moment, but a car sustained major damage. A truck was also involved. One person was transported to the hospital with serious injuries. Their condition is unknown at the moment. An investigation into what caused the crash is ongoing. Illinois State Police have released the names of 5 additional people who lost their lives in the major accident on Interstate 55 last week. They are 73-year-old Joseph and 71-year-old Donna Bates of Crystal Lake. Also killed were 64-year-old Michael and 54-year-old Amy Zinchuk of Champaign. The name of the 5th victim is 64-year-old Earl LeGrand of Florissant, Missouri. The first victim of the accident was released last week, was 88-year-old Shiley Harper of Franklin, Wisconsin. Officials are still working to identify the remaining victim. 37 people were taken to hospitals with injuries, which ranged from minor to life-threatening. That pileup happened when strong winds caused brownout conditions from soil being kicked up from adjacent farm fields. 72 cars and trucks were involved in the pileup. A federal ruling blasts Chicago planners for not equipping more of their intersections with audible signals. The ruling would help blind pedestrians cross busy streets. Less than 3 dozen of Chicago's nearly 3,000 intersections with visual crossing signals are equipped with audible cues. Some in the blind community say crossing the street now fills them with anxiety.
Because Chicago is a large city, there are additional complications when we're using those orientation and mobility skills when we're listening to what's going on around us.
I've had several close calls and been lucky that I got knocked backwards and not under the wheel.
Chicago residents say this is long overdue. A future hearing will determine how many intersections must be upgraded and when by. The U.S. death rate is on the decline. That's according to the preliminary data for 2022 from the Centers for Disease Control, showing a 5.3% decline in deaths compared to 2021. And deaths from COVID-19 dropped by nearly half between 2021 and 2022. The CDC reporting that the top 3 causes for death last year were heart disease, cancer, and unintentional injuries. COVID-19 was the 4th. The CDC team also finding that non-Hispanic, Black, and Native American and Alaskan Native people faced the highest odds of dying last year. The new data helping to serve as a guide for public health policies aimed at reducing mortality, especially for the most at-risk populations. As the weather starts to warm up in the state line, residents will see more than just cars and trucks on the road. Our Nikel Delgado has more. Nikel?
That's right, Jazz. It's the start of motorcycle riding season, and today is the annual A-Bait Safety and Awareness Parade.
It's awesome. It's to make the people around us aware that it is motorcycle riding season.
For over 30 years, motorcyclists have kick-started their riding season with the Safety and Awareness Parade. Motorcyclists Kim Tanner and Stacy Gutierrez tell me they have been riding for years, and safety is still the #1 most important thing for all motor vehicles.
This is an awareness parade. If one person is aware and it saves one life, that's a start.
The parade started at Carlson Ice Arena and ended at Kegel Harley-Davidson, where riders were served lunch. The vice president of Kishwaukee Valley chapter, Kurt Houston, says motorcycles move, stop, and react differently than cars do on the road.
I mean, you hear of tragic stuff already this year, you know, and people just have to remember that we're out there, share the road, and we have to reciprocate. We have to do the same thing. We don't command any more space or rights than anybody driving any other automotive.
If people would to put down your phones and be aware of what's going on around you, that would be awesome.
Kim and Stacy say it's vital for drivers to be cautious that they are sharing the road with motorcyclists.
We're wives, moms, grandmas. So, yeah, we'd like to go home to them.
Look twice, save a life is our motto. So look twice before you pull out in an intersection or take off at a stoplight. Make sure there's not a motorcycle coming the other direction.
Organizers stress for drivers to double check their blind spots, the intersections, and leaving a car distance away. For motorcyclists, it's strongly encouraged for them to take more than one motorcycle safety classes. Jess?
Thank you, Nicole. One of the biggest festivals in Illinois went down in the Forest City. Every year, the Don Carter Derby Party hosts hundreds of horse racing fans. It all takes place at the Shooters Bar and Grill and Don Carter Lanes. Food trucks are lined up, plenty of specialty drinks to enjoy, and live music. There will also be Kentucky Derby hats being sold and plenty of people to enjoy the annual race with.
This Kentucky Derby party is huge. We have it every year. It's always on the first Saturday of May. It gets really busy.
It was also an opportunity for sports betting for those hoping they were lucky enough to pick the winning horse. A California cat faced off with an unlikely foe. The whole family was asleep in this home when a coyote snuck through the back doggy door, but the coyote didn't get far before coming face to face with the hissing family cat. The cat darts around the dining chairs, clearly startling the coyote. Finally, the commotion woke someone up in the house, and they went down to check it. As soon as the coyote saw the man, it darted back out the doggy door. The owner says Lily, the 14-year-old hero cat, has been resting up after the encounter. Now to the historic moment for the British monarchy with the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Consort Camilla. ABC's Ines de la Huerta is in London with the details.
It was history in the making. King Charles and Queen Camilla formally crowned in a ceremony combining pageant and ancient ritual. The royal couple first seen as they left Buckingham Palace in a procession, riding the Diamond Jubilee state coach. Inside the Abbey, over 2,000 guests, including First Lady Jill Biden, foreign dignitaries, and members of the royal family. Prince Louis and Princess Charlotte sharing this sweet moment. Princes Harry and Andrew were also there, while Prince George, second in line to the throne behind his father Prince William, helped carry his grandfather's robes as a page, walking the very steps he'll one day have to take. The king and queen then lifted onto their thrones, those age-old crown jewels on full display.
We just watched 2 hours of ancient ritual in Westminster Abbey. 80% of the country, it's the first time that we got to witness that.
The military then putting on its biggest ceremonial display since Queen Elizabeth II's coronation. Units from across the Commonwealth marching down the Mall. That procession capping off with a short flyover, scaled back due to bad weather.
Members of the armed forces and, of course, all of those different troops from across the Commonwealth flying their different flags. That was the Queen's dream.
The newly crowned monarchs then coming out on that famous balcony, waving to the jubilant crowd alongside other members of the royal family. Despite the typically British weather, thousands lining the streets of London, hoping for a front row seat to history.
Once in a life, you know, it's magical. It's such an incredible event. I mean, it's plenty of joy.
And tomorrow, a star-studded coronation concert will be held in Windsor, featuring the likes of Katy Perry and Lionel Richie. And across the country, members of the public will participate in the coronation big lunch and street parties. Ines de la Huerta, ABC News, London.
A beer made for a king that never got to be crowned is going up for auction. This beer was made for the coronation of Edward VII. He famously abdicated the throne before his own coronation. The bottle had been forgotten in storage for 86 years, but it was pulled from the cellar of the Green King Brewery. Proceeds will go to benefit the Prince's Trust charity, but experts say the brew is merely a historical curiosity as it's no longer drinkable.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
It was a bright and sunny day across the state line today. Temperatures made their way into the upper 70s across the board for a lot of us, although most of the afternoon was actually spent in the lower 70s when we had a lot more of that cloud cover hanging with us through the early part of the day. As the sun came out, those clouds lifted north. The sun came out and brought our temperatures back up into the upper 70s, and that's what we're looking at with satellite radar too. Very clear skies after those clouds continued to lift further north and dissipate across the area. Now we are seeing a lot of that sunshine showing up across the state line with our SkyTrack cameras. This one in particular showing off the Park Hills Golf Course in Freeport. Our SkyTrack camera there is brought to us by the Rockford Career College. Temperatures, as I mentioned, worked their way back up into the upper 70s for a lot of us, and dew points are also a lot higher than where we were yesterday. Right now, our temperature in Rockford, 78 degrees, dew points in the upper 50s and low 60s in a couple spots, so it does feel a lot more humid today than what it did yesterday. Our temperature being reported to our by our weather watcher, Mike in Foreston, temperature of 78 degrees, a quarter of an inch of precipitation overnight. Jim on the southwest side of Rockford has a temperature of 80 degrees, humidity of 43%. The rest of the night tonight, temperatures will not fall very far because clouds continue to roll back in, as well as some storm chances into the area as well. Temperatures only falling to the 60s, 60 degrees for that overnight low. Thunderstorms potentially rolling in with some hail possible with these. I'm going to show you a couple different models here to show you what computer models are trying to show off with this particular round of storms. One in particular does show as those storms develop from parts of Iowa and Missouri right now, we'll bring those and track them into our area after midnight tonight. However, another model shows a completely different story. This one has almost nothing during that exact same time frame, depending on how those storms evolve across parts of Iowa. So showing off what we're looking at here, going back to satellite and radar now, those storms currently working their way across parts of Missouri and Iowa, further off well to our south and southwest. If those storms hold their track and remain to our south, that will likely give us not a whole lot during the overnight hours tonight. However, if those fizzle out a little bit, we could see new development of some thunderstorms across parts of eastern Iowa that would work into our area, potentially bringing us some enhanced level of that severe weather risk, including some significant hail and possibly some damaging winds. So Futurecast does show that development taking that to the south in one particular model, leaving us under nothing. However, we do have to remain weather aware through the rest of this evening as well. Tomorrow, temperatures are going to work their way back up into the 80s, 84 degrees, very warm and very humid for our afternoon as well. Picking up where we left off with Futurecast, we continue to see another round of showers and some storms coming in late Sunday night going into Monday morning. These could also pose another significant severe threat as well. So something we'll be watching with a couple rounds of thunderstorms sticking with us here through the rest of the weekend. Temperatures into the 80s on Sunday, back down into the 70s though as we get into Monday. Still some isolated storms possible during that time as well. And then just we clear out and dry out through the rest of the week. Temperatures remaining in the 70s.
Now sports with Reagan Holgate.
Day 2 of Bears rookie camp means another day for the youngsters to try and prove themselves worthy of a spot on that roster. Now, much of the hype right now, and rightfully so, is focused on the top pick, offensive lineman Darnell Wright. But it's in the third round where many draft experts felt the Bears made their best pick. Ryan Poles said the Bears were shocked he was even still on the board at 115. Running back Roschon Johnson out of Texas is trying to show his versatility as a top-flight running back and a special teams standout.
You always know when you draft somebody, like when Ryan picks them, and you get like 7 text messages from like special teams coaches from around the league, that, you know what, we made a great selection, and everybody was like, dang. And then when you see this guy play football, he is violent as they come. He could almost be a linebacker. Like the way he covers some kicks are outstanding. So I think he could help us in that area for sure, and he's a good running back as well.
All right, more action coming your way from Wrigley Field today. Game 1 yesterday was all about Matt Mervis and his Major League debut. Today, the focus was on trying to grab a series win. Kerry Wood threw out the first pitch in honor of the 25th anniversary of his 20 strikeout performance. Let's go to the third inning now. Marlins already up a run. Jorge Soler takes Drew Smyly deep, and that puts the Cubs in a 2-0 hole. Can they get out of it? Well, we'll find out in the 8th inning. Trey Mancini lifts a shallow one into center field. Peyton Burdick, blinded by the sun, can't make the catch. The ball actually goes off of his leg, and Mancini gets to second. That helps set up this play with runners in scoring position. Nick Madrigal goes the other way, and the Cubs bring 2 home, 3-2 the lead for the good guys. Next batter, and it's Miguel Amaya. He's going to take this one up the middle, and look at this. Infielders can't make the play, and Madrigal scores Amaya's first career hit and RBI. His parents were loving it, and so were Cubs fans. Cubs win 4-2. Series finale is tomorrow. The White Sox just got things started in Game 2 of this series with the Reds. We're all tied 1-1 right now. In some other news from Cincy, Eloy Jimenez is currently at a local hospital there. He checked in late last night after suffering some intense abdominal pain. Sox manager Pedro Gaffol said the team should get an update on his status later today, but there's no immediate timetable for his return to action. Now, the news about Jimenez isn't great, but the South Side got a great sign from the White Sox closer last night. Liam Hendriks made his first rehab assignment appearance in AAA for the Charlotte Knights. His first time back on the hill since beating stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He pitched 1 inning and had 1 strikeout. He tossed 9 pitches. 5 of those were strikes. A hitless inning is a win, folks. Last night was a big step in the right direction for Hendriks, who felt good to be back on the mound.
Being wet, I slipped on the first pitch and then had to kind of finagle my mechanics a little bit just to make sure that I was getting it down there all right. But hey, a clean inning is a clean inning with a scoreless and a strikeout, so that's always good. We're underway, and now we're off to the races, and hopefully the next few get going a little bit better.
First One interactive radar from Rockford Auto Glass and More. Not showing up anything at the moment, but later on here into the night tonight, we could see a few rounds of thunderstorms here through the weekend. The first one potentially coming in later into the night tonight after around midnight. Tomorrow, very hot and humid, back into the 80s. Another round of storms late into the evening, cooling off and drying out for much of the week ahead.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you after the game.